there is a faster circulation of people than what we saw back in May.
Dozens of migrants waiting here at the U.S.-Mexico border. What advocates are telling us about the processing wait.
Homelessness has become an epidemic.
We're harming rather than helping.
Chula Vista considers its own encampment ban.
Where is everybody supposed to get the money for this?
The proposed tuition hike for CSU schools today. Plus, we take you to Legoland for Brick or Treat.
Temperatures continue cooling down this afternoon with widespread 70s and even just some low 80s out there. We'll talk about how the weekend is shaping up. It's Wednesday, September 13th, and you're up with CBS 8.
We want to start with this breaking news. After a days-long manhunt, an inmate who escaped from a Pennsylvania prison has now been captured. Danilo Cavalcante is in custody this morning.
Pennsylvania State Police say they will be holding a news conference at 6:30 a.m. our time, about a half hour from now, to provide more details about his arrest. The latest report said they felt like they were getting closer to catching this guy. We will be listening into that live report, and we will provide you more details as soon as we get that information for you. Well, months after the end of Title 42, migrants are once again gathering at the San Ysidro border this morning. Glad you're with us here for our 6 a.m. hour. I'm Eric Conrad.
And I'm Neda Irampur. Volunteers helping them with supplies say nearly 100 people have been camping there since Friday. CBS 8's Chris Grau joining us live right along the border wall. Many still waiting to be processed this morning. Chris, what are you seeing?
Yeah, good morning. What we're seeing is a mixed group here. We're still seeing dozens of them, if not more. Again, it's really hard to get a count right now because many of them still sleeping in their makeshift tents. They're using those space blankets that have been given to them to kind of wait out the elements right now. It is a pretty cool morning, though I wouldn't describe it as terribly cold, though. Again, living out here in these conditions, sleeping overnight is not anything that anyone obviously would sign up for. But these are people who are escaping poverty, that are escaping corruption and violence in their home countries, hoping for a better life here in the United States of America. Now, as for the process, this has been a very long and slow one for many of them. Many of them have been waiting on the other side as they fill out information in the app, which is something that they've been instructed to do, hoping that their phones don't die and hoping that they can get them charged when volunteers show up here and they're able to take their phones and use that portable charging station. Now, we also saw many of them get on a bus yesterday. They'll be taken to a facility for processing. And then we have seen others that were given a wristband in some sort of priority listing, some sort of priority waiting system. Now, we have spoken with advocates, including Pedro Rios, who has been diligent in working with a lot of these migrants, helping them through the process, through the system. Take a listen to what he had to tell us yesterday.
But also Border Patrol will tell them to walk in this direction. We know of at least 3 other sites that we can't access.
And we are still waiting to see when it is that volunteers like Pedro will be showing up here to this site. Their supplies are still here, so it does appear that they will be returning at some point. But however, we have not seen them actually show up here yet so far. Eric and Neda.
Lives are being lost, traumas being added to the most vulnerable, and we're harming rather than helping.
This morning, city leaders in Chula Vista are considering a ban on homeless encampments. It would be similar to the ordinance passed in the city of San Diego that bans tents in public spaces as long as there are shelter beds available. It comes as officials in the South Bay report a rise in people living on the streets.
We've gone from about an average of 200, and now we're seeing an increase to potentially up to 300. We want to make sure that we get homeless off the streets, but we need to protect our small businesses, families, and neighborhoods.
Right now, police in Chula Vista enforce encampments that block the right-of-way, for example, on a sidewalk. The homeless outreach team then makes each person aware of the resources that are available. You can weigh in on a possible ban during a public workshop on October 5th. This just in here, consumer prices increased 0.6% in August, and over the past year they jumped 3.7%. That's according to the Labor Department's latest inflation report. This will play a role in the Federal Reserve's decision on whether or not to have another interest rate hike. They will announce that decision at the meeting here that's coming up next week.
How am I supposed to afford a higher education when it's becoming near impossible to do so?
Right now, many students speaking out against a proposed tuition hike in the CSU system. The CSU Board of Trustees will vote on it today. The proposal is for a 6% annual increase, which amounts to $342 for the first year starting next fall. Officials say 60% of the system's students would not be affected because their tuition is fully covered by grants or waivers. The system is trying to help close a $1.5 billion funding gap. CSU schools in San Diego include San Diego State and CSU San Marcos.
This morning, controversy is brewing in the Cajon Valley Union School District. The superintendent told staff to take down posters promoting an LGBTQ organization. Here's a look at that poster. That's due to a policy that prohibits teachers from posting material from an outside group that positions the district on any, quote, side of a controversial issue. That's according to Cajon there. Some teachers say this move leaves students feeling unsupported and unsafe.
I'm very worried of the effect that this movement of banning such posters may have on our populations of students. Many children, especially in middle school, struggle with feeling accepted and seen. By taking away these posters, it's not only isolating those students, but sending a message that they're no longer supported.
I want to share with you.
Now, the superintendent says the district has resources to support its LGBTQ students. This morning, the San Diego County Board of Supervisors moving forward with a plan to give working parents more child care options. That's the goal of what's being called the Child Care Blueprint. They'll use existing federal funds to increase capacity at new and current daycares by enhancing infrastructure and investing in both staffing and training. And a flex system will be tested under this plan, and that would give paid time off to county workers in need of emergency child care. So they, again, voted unanimously to pass that. Work is now underway to repave parts of Convoy Street in Kearny Mesa. It's happening Monday through Friday. They'll be working on this from 9 p.m. to 5 in the morning throughout the coming months. Crews will start fixing the road at State Route 52, the on-ramp, and will continue on to Daggett Street. Once the first phase is complete, resurfacing will then continue from Daggett to Kearny Mesa Road. Businesses in this area will continue to operate normally. The project expected to be complete by spring of next year, and hopefully people's tires will do a lot better in the long run once this is done.
Convoy is not far from our
It's
work
like off-roading,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, it's lots of potholes there.
Experienced
Flatten
this.
things out here.
I've already noticed that they've gotten to work. Last week I had a bit of a detour on the way home.
Me too.
So, and then they just reopened it, and one of the spots where I usually dip quite a bit to get to the next road, there was no dip. So I was like, wow, yay, improvements.
Your tax dollars at work
Things
here.
are changing, exactly.
Yes.
I've worked here for 3 years, and I'm like, here we go. Changes are a-coming.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what's going on outside. If you are spending more time outside over the next several days, you should be happy to know temperatures are going to feel a lot more mild. We're going to be seeing humidity drop quite a bit, and so it's going to be a much more fall-like weather pattern that we'll encounter as opposed to the hot and humid conditions that we started off the work week with. Looking at your forecast highs today, we're back down to the 70s across the majority of our county. Along the coast, mid-70s. Inland, we'll have a couple low 80s out there, but otherwise upper 70s is where the majority of your western valleys are going to be. Mountains are going to be in the upper 70s, and then the deserts out of the triple digits back down to the double digits there at 99. This is all part of a cooling trend that is continuing through today. Looks like tomorrow through Saturday, we're going to stay stagnant, maybe even see our mountains and deserts rise by a degree or two, and then we all continue a cooling trend into next week. So right now, marine layer is all back with us. We see it stretching through our inland valleys, not too low down to the ground. Right now, the base of these clouds is right at about 1,000 feet or so. So they are low, but they're not exactly limiting our view outside. And it's an issue across San Diego County, all the way up across the Bight. Orange County, LA County, Santa Barbara County, all encountering those clouds as they kick off the day. 5-day forecast shows again, we're staying pretty stagnant between now and Friday, maybe even Saturday. And then by the time we get into the weekend and more so into next week, we'll keep seeing these temperatures drop. So mid 70s for a very comfortable weekend. And then into early next week, you can expect many of our inland valleys to be closer to the low 70s as we start off the week. Right now, walking out the door, you got 60s out there. Might have noticed it was a bit more comfortable to start off the morning. 68 right now in Carlsbad, 61 in Ramona, 64 for for El Cajon. It's 6:09 on the clock. Let's check in on your border wait times if you're crossing over the U.S.-Mexico border. Right now from the San Ysidro port of entry into the U.S., 150-minute wait. You're waiting over 2 hours to get in. Otay Mesa port of entry, it's going to be a 75-minute wait, about an hour 15. Very typical to see that Otay Mesa port of entry moving a bit faster. Once you get into San Diego County, you can head to cbs8.com/traffic. It'll give you all the know about any traffic and any crashes or collisions throughout your commute on the highways in San Diego County. Back to you.
Thank you, Evan. Still ahead here, updated COVID vaccines are on the way to pharmacies right now, but are they still free?
Plus, an unbelievable number here, over 5,000 dead in just one Libyan city. Our first look at the impacts of the flooding there. And more gas thieves as prices continue to spike overnight.